Well, the Yankees made a trade here on Friday, and I sneaky kind of like it. So let's break it down here. We are literally less than 10 minutes after this news broke. I'm sitting down here to record this, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of other details and other little notes and nuggets that come out. But for those of you that may not have seen, the Yankees have acquired third baseman Ryan McMahon from the Colorado Rockies in exchange for pitching prospects Griffin Herring and Josh Grosh. And I talked about McMahon. If you go back and you listen to the episode on potential third base options for the Yankees at the trade deadline, obviously the big name and the name that everybody's been talking about since the beginning has been Eugenio Suarez. But I mentioned some secondary options that were interesting, and one of the names I said really intrigued me despite being a left-handed batter, and I know the Yankees really wanted to add another righty to that lineup. But the one that gets really interesting was Ryan McMahon, and he is not having a good season, relatively. You know, he still has an OPS above 700, but he's been struggling. He's hitting 217, but he's still walking, but he's been striking out a lot. But he is somebody that I'm really, really intrigued by, and I know the first thought's going to be you taking a hitter outside of Coors Field. That's probably not a good idea. What happens with their stats, blah, blah, blah. What's the splits look like? What's Ryan McMahon's splits outside of Coors Field? Doesn't look great. All of that is true. However, I think there's something a little different here that I like. And one of the fact that he is a lefty, which means he's going to play well with their short porch and right field in Yankee Stadium compared to the gigantic outfield that is at Coors Field. However, there's something that I'm really intrigued by with his bat, and I think that is the potential here. Now, you'll see up here on the screen right now if you're watching on YouTube. I'll read this out for you, but you'll see it on the screen here on YouTube. That these numbers have been pretty consistent over these last few years in the average exit velocity, barrel percentage, hard hit percentage, bat speed, sweet spot. I mean, he has been well above average to elite in those categories pretty much every single year. And you really kind of look at these last handful of years and you go, there's something here. There's something more here. And if you look at the numbers that are on the screen right now for this year, talking about a guy that has, 98th percentile in exit velocity, 79th percentile in barrel percentage, 87th percentile in hard hit, 79th percentile in bat speed, 86th percentile in walk, and even, 65th, 64th percentile in expected WOBA and expected slugging. So this is somebody that hits the ball really hard and has done so consistently throughout his career, and you would think you would put up better numbers. You would think you would look at the years, and you're looking at 23 home runs, 20 home runs. You see some of those, and you go like, these numbers are kind of scream 30-plus home run power. I'm very intrigued. He's got 16 so far this year in 350 at-bats. I'm really intrigued to see what he's able to do at Yankee Stadium, and to take that big swing, to take one of the fastest bat speeds in baseball, and as somebody that can kind of hit it a lot, and he is pulling the ball more this year than he ever has in his career. He's 18.8 batted ball, pulled air percentage. So that is something that has been kind of hovering in that 11 to 13% range throughout most of his career. He has made a conscious effort to pull the ball more this year, which again will only help him even more at Yankee Stadium. He's barreling the ball more this year than he has at any other point in his career. His barrel per plate appearance right now is 7.2. That's his highest. His barrel percentage 12.9%, highest of his career. So there's a lot of things here that I think you would like. And you look at his raw numbers and you probably sit back and go, this is underwhelming. But this is a really intriguing player with the bat, who, by the way, has provided anywhere between great to elite glove. And this is someone that you want to take a look back all the way back to that 2021 season. 93rd percentile fielding run value. 2022, 89th percentile. 2023, 85th percentile. 2024, 82nd percentile. So far this year, 80th percentile. So yes, this is somebody that maybe is not putting up, yes, it's going down a little bit, but this is still a well above average defensive third baseman that has been that throughout his career. and has maintained that over, a handful of seasons now. This is not just a kind of a one season wonder. And I look at these pieces together and I go, this is really intriguing to me, and I like it a lot. Now, obviously, all things being equal, Eugenio Suarez was the guy you wanted here. He's a right-handed bat. I like his numbers a little bit more. But what Ryan McMahon does provide here is some opportunity that I'm excited about. And the other thing he provides is some long-term elements. He is going to be under contract for the Yankees for another 2 seasons after this year at $16 million per season. So it's one of those things where he will be here for a little bit of a longer term. But and he doesn't have any options at this point. He would have to finish top 5 in MVP voting this year to have his option for 2027. Otherwise, it's just a flat out, like, this is what he's going to make. So you have a couple years left on this deal. I also thought that the Yankees had some modest return. Not that they didn't give up good players, but we were talking about the guys that have been talking about when it's become to this trade conversation. People brought up Trent Grisham. People brought up Ben Rice. People brought up Carlos LaGrange, Cam Schlittler, Spencer Jones, Elmer Rodriguez Cruz. Like, those are the guys that had been being brought up. They ended up giving up Griffin Herring, who I like. He was the Yankees' number 8 prospect, left-handed pitcher, is pitching in high A ball right now, 22-year-old. And they also gave up 21st pitching prospect, also in high A ball, also 22, Josh Gross. So, again, I don't say this as they gave up nothing. These are really intriguing players, including Griffin Herring, who's probably somebody that's, both these guys are probably 2-3 years away from the majors. But they didn't give up anybody that was in their top group. And to me, the top group is Lombard, LaGrange, Schlittler, and Spencer Jones. That second down group is Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, Cunningham, and Ben Hess. And I think at the bottom of that group, and then would be Griffin Herring, Rafael Flores, a couple of those guys. So I thought that the return relative to what was expected for Eugenio Suarez was pretty adequate for what the Yankees are getting. You're not getting a rental. You're getting somebody that you could play there for a couple of years, which kind of opens yourself up to figuring out where else you want to spend some of this money that you're going to have next offseason. Including, bringing back a guy like Cody Bellinger, for example. But I really like this move. And if you weren't going to get Suarez, or you weren't going to get Suarez at a reasonable price, because I was starting to get worried about, the number of teams in on him, the fact that he was clearly the big prize of this deadline. And you start wondering if you're going to be giving up potential long-term pieces. I think this was a really good fallback option for them. And I think, even though, again, you wanted to add another righty to the lineup, he is a better glove than Suarez. He's a better base runner than Suarez. And I think there's more to this bat. I really do. And I really think this is a guy that can probably hit 230, 240, and flirt with 30 home runs for the Yankees. And I really think that that's the type of player that he can be. I'm really excited to see how his bat plays inside Yankee Stadium. If you take a look, I believe, and if you kind of look at the overlay chart, I believe, and I'm looking at it right now. Again, I'm doing this live, so I'm kind of having to do the whole overlay it myself, because these charts and stuff aren't out yet, because literally we are 10 minutes after the trade. But based on my estimation right now, he has had 5 hits this year, 5 additional hits this year that would have been home runs. And I can't see the flyouts yet. I have to go back and look and see where all his outs were. But it apparently looks like he had the opportunity to hit multiple more home runs if he played in Yankee Stadium, which is not a surprise. And I think, yes, you obviously have the you have the home run boost that you get from that atmosphere. Now, again, if you look right now, his numbers, this shows of expected home runs by park is actually less at Yankee Stadium. Part of that is, again, it depends on that there's atmosphere, a lot of other things. So that's where I wanted to get this to really look at, because expected home runs here, by ballpark shows him, and I'm trying to look at right now what he has compared to Coors. Yes, it shows up 24. So if you purely on trajectory of the hit, now you have to adjust for the altitude a little bit. So I think that's the other aspect of is how much is that going to be. Now, the StatCast shows a significant altitude adjustment when you compare to the Yankees versus the Rockies. We'll see how that actually ends up playing out. But if you look at just pure distance, trajectory, launch angle, things of that nature, he would actually have 8 more home runs if you played his home games at Yankee Stadium compared to playing in Colorado. So in my mind, there's going to be a give and take there, and it probably evens out over the long haul because you have that short porch in right field, because he's pulling the ball in the air significantly more this year than he has before, and because he's hitting the ball harder than he has ever before in his career. I think you put all of those pieces together and think that he can probably maintain those power numbers that you saw at times in Colorado in New York. And, like I said, he's on pace for, what is he on pace for at this point? 24, 25 home runs. He was kind of on that pace, and I think he can continue to stay on that as we go forward. So I guess the very quick recap of what we basically just said was that, yes, I know there's going to be some disappointment that the Yankees did not go after Eugenio Suarez. I should say go after, didn't acquire Eugenio Suarez. However, I do think there is some real potential here in the bat of Ryan McMahon. He is a really, really good to elite glove, good on the base paths, and I think he's going to be able to take advantage of Yankee Stadium to potentially set a career high in home runs. 24 is the most he's ever hit at Coors Field, but this is a player that has been, flirting with, again, he's flirting with that, 25, 26 home runs so far this year, where he's on pace for. Was an all-star for Colorado last year. Does have a 4-win season under his belt back in 2021 in terms of wins above replacement. So I really like this. This was a shrewd move. I think the Yankees did a really good job here. And if you're not going to get Suarez, or if Suarez's cost was going to be so prohibitive that you're talking about really mortgaging your future, this was the perfect opportunity for the Yankees. So, while it might not have been the huge name everybody wanted, it might not have been the right-handed bat, it might not have been the bell of the ball, I think the Yankees did a really good job here, and I'm excited to see what else they add between now and the MLB trade deadline.